Thank you everyone for coming. We will go ahead and get started. So thank you, congratulations to the class of 2022. We are so excited for you and proud of your accomplishments. I want to welcome you to the Grad Experience Alumni 101 event. I'm Shauna Lawson. I'm the Assistant Director of Alumni Relations and Annual Giving. We will begin with the Share the Land Acknowledgement, but before we do that, I just want to let you know how the flow of the program will go. We will be discussing how to network and what way that Huskies do network and what's the best way to do it. So we'll share that information with you. Once we get through that overview, if there are any questions, you can ask questions at that time. We'll have a few minutes or so for questions for that. And then we will transition. We have alumni joining us today that will share how they were able to engage at UW Tacoma after they graduated. So, and during the time that they were students. So we have Paulie Pushtas joining us from class of 2002. She graduated with her business administration degree and she's a prosecuting attorney. We also have Aiden Espino from class of 2019. He graduated with his law and policy degree and he's a lobbyist. So with that, let's go ahead and get started with the Share the Land Acknowledgement. So we recognize that all of us at UW Tacoma learn, live, and work on or near the ancestral homeland of the Coast Salish people. In particular, we are situated on the traditional territory of the Puyallup. As people on this occupied territory, we have a responsibility to acknowledge the land, the ancestors who have cared for this land since time immemorial, and all our indigenous connections today. We also have the responsibility to acknowledge the histories of dispossession and forced removal that have allowed for the growth and survival of this institution. In light of this history, let us take active efforts to partner with our indigenous community members and neighbors as we continue our work together as a community of learners, leaders, and educators. With that, I'll go ahead and get started with sharing my screen here. All right, can you see my screen?
Yep.
All right, well, thank you. So Alumni 101, so we're going to talk about networking. So networking is one of the most valuable and important things that you can do as an alum. It's building relationships and building your network and turning those connections into a relationship. You can do this through communication. Communication is key, whether that is verbal or whether you're using technology to do it, or sending a personal note. Those are things that will matter with your connections. So you'll want to build your connections. You'll want to be strategic in who you connect to. You will have 3 types of networks, and those will be personal networks. Those are people that you already know and they know you. Professional networks, those are people you have worked with in a kind of a career environment. It could be with an internship. It could be just even volunteering, but having to do with job skills. And then you'll have your strategic connections. Those are networks that you strategically want to pick and choose based on the goals that you have, and then also based on the networks that they know. So with all types of networks, you'll want to tap into the networks through the people that you know, because they may know connections in the community or in a professional way and in different ways that maybe you weren't thinking of, but that could still feed into what you would learn or a valuable connection that you can make through them. So let's talk about opportunities for networking as a Husky. So Tacoma Husky Landing is your #1 way of networking. It is our premier hub for career networking and building relationships in the Husky community. Next, we would say alumni events, because those are events where you would come onto campus. They can be virtual or in person. Connections through the UW Alumni Association, and also sports events. You will always see alumni in these places, and there's different ways that you can connect to people to see what they're doing now that they have graduated and moved on into their professional fields. Another way is through service. So you can volunteer as a Husky or give back to your alma mater or to students. For example, there's sometimes the 5K, annual 5K run that they do to help raise funds for certain cause. There's also local efforts, which can happen at sports events as well. For example, like the Cheney Stadium may do things, or we may have a giving day. So that would be one of our campus efforts. And so there's different ways there that you can give of your time, or you can do philanthropy in different ways. So, and as you go into the Husky realm, alumni realm, then you'll learn more about what others are doing as well. So with that, I am going to stop the screen share here. And what I wanted to show you was, in speaking about networking, how the platform works and how you can use it to network. Okay, so here we are at Tacoma Husky Landing. And as you can see, I am alumni on here, which I am an alum. I graduated in 2007. But now that I work here, I'm also staff. So there are faculty and staff on here as well. But I will point out to you that this is what your profile would look like. And every time you sign on, they even have a matching quiz here and some resources, but there will be people that pop up that they feel like are synonymous with what you're doing or in the same field as what your degree is in, or maybe they're just located in Tacoma. There's some kind of common thread there and you'll see different people pop up. So you'll see these tabs up here. And the first most important tab is that network tab. And then I would say the resources tab, but we'll go with the networking tab first. So once you click on your networking tab, you will see people pop up, like I said, and some of these people will be actively online, and how you can tell that they are is because there will be a dot here and it says people who are online now or who have been recently online. But if this is blue, you can chat them now. Right at the moment, you can chat with them and you can say, hey, are you available to speak right now? So if you click that chat button, you will see a little message box here, and it pre-populates a message. That way you don't have to think too much about it. It just says, do you have a minute to chat? I see that you're online right now, and you can send that message. You can also ask questions. You can include questions in your message that you want to know. You can modify this as you want to. It's not stuck to that message. So that's how you would start to chat with people who are readily online and available right now. And a lot of people have signed up because they know that people will be reaching out to ask questions and they want to help a Husky out, whether that's a student, whether that's a new alum, you can ask them questions. So, but if for some reason they don't respond to you right away, give it about 24 to 72 hours, because sometimes people's internet may not be strong. They may not see the message for some reason. They may be in an area. So just keep that in mind. But that's how you would chat with people who are readily available online. And then there will also be people who are not readily available online, but there's still a way to connect with them. And that looks a little different. These are broken down as well. So if you were interested in a job in government and you wanted to reach out to these people who work in the government field or have a degree in the government field, you could do that here by clicking Let's Connect. Over to the left, you will see their bio, and you'll see all the information of where they went to school, maybe where they're working right now. But here's the coolest thing is that they have templates for you, depending on what you want to talk about. So you can connect with Marae by clicking on, if you want to explore her career or you're thinking of getting into that field, you would just click career exploration and it pre-populates the template for you. You can modify the template. You can change words on here. It doesn't have to be stuck the way it is. So you can feel free to do that. If you just want to expand your network, there's a template for that. There's also some tips here that will pop up. It says, keep it short, but not too short. We recommend an email length between this many words and you're currently at this many words. So it will let you know. And you can take that tip or you can listen to it or you can dismiss it. If you've already connected with this person, you can click reconnect and there's a template for that. Just saying, I'm excited that you popped up on my feed again. I would like to reconnect with you and see how things have been since you've left University of Washington, Tacoma. So there's different things like that. So that makes it pretty easy to connect with people. When you go out of a message, it will ask you if you really want to leave, and anything you wrote will be deleted. However, if you sent the message, that won't be deleted. But for this, I'm going to go ahead and click on back to explore community so that we can go back to that home page. And I wanted to point out a thing to you here. There is what is called a video intro where you can introduce yourself. If I was to click on that, you could do a video in under 60 seconds here that just says why you're here. what's your next big life goal and what you can help others with. You can say, you know, I'm here just to help people with time management. That's what I'm really strong at. Or I work in this field and want to connect with others like that, you know. So you can record a video here, or you can upload a video that you already have recorded. Just wanted to point that out. It's a really good way to kind of go to people's profiles and hear what they have to say. So another way to get to what you want when you're networking is to apply filters. You can go here under industries, and if you were interested in accounting, you could select accounting here, apply that, and it'll search out everybody that is in the accounting field, has an accounting degree, and things like that. So we could look at Kyle, he's a CPA. Maybe you want to become a CPA. You could connect with him. And here's the best thing about connecting with him is you have different options. So you're inside the platform, you can see his information. You can pick a template, but what's really great about it is you can scroll to the bottom here and you can request a meeting with him. A calendar will pop up. You can choose a date. Choosing a date, and then you can select how you would like to connect with him. You can do an instant video call with him if he is online actively, or you can schedule a video call with him, or you can meet in person. So that's another option. Some people use the platform, but they don't like to chat too much in the platform. They may want to meet at the Anthem coffee shop. And they'll ask, you know, can we meet in person for 15 minutes or 30 minutes? Or you can do a phone call within the platform as well, which is really great because you don't have to really share your phone number if you don't want to. Or you can just phone call them right away if they say that they're available right now. So those are different options that you can do. So I'll say in person. There's a box here that if I wanted to meet him at a coffee shop, I could put the location in there or wherever we would want to meet. You would select the time, and let's say it's 1 p.m. You would add the time, and then you're able to click request meeting. So then they may respond to you and say, yeah, I could do that. Or I would prefer we meet on Zoom, but at least you have the conversation going and you both can select how you would like to meet and talk to each other. So that's some of the coolest options that we have here to help Huskies really get in there and talk to people and connect with other alumni and people who are successful in their careers. So now I'm gonna go out of here. Just give me a moment. My screen keeps changing. Goodness, it's got me stuck here. Go back to Tacoma Husky Landing. I hope it's not hold on one moment. Sorry, guys. Little technical issues happening. I don't know if it's outside or I will get back on here though. That's one thing we never do is give up as Huskies. So.
You got that right.
So going back to the homepage, the resources tab is important. I just wanted to point this out. And what's on here is the LinkedIn learning options. There's different things from different units like the Milgard Success Center, Military Connected Career Development. Handshake is on here. That's where everybody goes to kind of look for jobs or to drop in and get some help. The Career Development Office is on here, and we do have an admin on here from the Career Development Services Department. You can go straight to their page for appointments and drop-ins from the Tacoma Husky Landing, which is great. We also have our UW Tacoma Alumni Council information on here. You can go to that page and find out what positions are open for the council, how you can serve on the council, and you can reach out to see if you can attend a meeting. So those things are there for you in the Professional Development Center as well. The resources are set up on here for faculty, staff, alumni, and students. So you'll see different things on here. If you ever get stuck and you're like, I don't know what to do, how do I use this platform? We have 2-minute little videos here that tell you what to do on the platform, what the features are and how to use it. We do have for mentees some information because some people have never had a mentor, or they're like, how do I do this? So there are little videos on here for that and some tools. There's also this feels scary, managing anxiety when you have to meet with somebody. For mentors, which are usually alumni, you guys are alumni now, some of the things that you can help students with, they'll say, how did you do it? You may have a freshman that says, I'm in school, I don't know if I can hang in here. How did you get your degree? How did you keep going? So you're able to share advice about, I did it this way, and here's the barriers, and here's how I overcame those, and here's some resources that I used when I was in your shoes. So it's really great, and there's tools for mentoring here. So it's not like you have to know everything about mentoring. You're learning as you go along as well. And we also have a space for first generation. And then for students on here, there's all the stuff like the pantry, Center for Equity and Inclusion, scholarships, and student involvement. So just wanted to point that out. Your inbox is here where the little envelope is. And with that, I think that we have covered a lot of stuff. I don't want to go into too much because I know we're pinched for time, but just wanted to now open it up for any questions you have about Tacoma Husky Landing and networking. I'm looking to see, you can drop it in the chat or you can come off of mute. Okay. I don't see the chat though. Zach, do you see anything in the chat?
Looks like, I think Jama was about to say something.
I had a quick question. So for the mentorship program, if you're looking for a mentor, or like if you're trying to mentor somebody, like what do you do again?
Okay, so the mentoring, basically you go on here and you look for someone that maybe has what you want to be mentored about, like maybe they're in the field that you want to be in. It depends on what you're looking for, and you would strategically be able to, if you go to your networking tab, you would be able to put in, like if you want one that's in Tacoma, you can put in their location, you can put in their major. If you want someone that just has the same degree, you can put in industries and you can filter that way. Now we do have a program called Huskies at Work, which will be, it is on this platform starting in the fall. And we do it twice a year where you can either job shadow, you can meet with a mentor, you can set up a meeting, however you and the mentor wants to meet, you could do that. And so that will be on here and the applications will be open. So you could be on the lookout for that. But if you want mentoring, like right now on the spot, if you saw Carrie and she's a director and you're like, I want to be a director of marketing, you could chat to her now and say, hi, Carrie, I need some advice. I'm looking at going into the field that you're working in. Do you have a minute that we can meet? Or you could even just put your questions in there and send them to her, and then she would respond.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
You're welcome. So now I will just introduce Paulie Pushtas, and Aiden. We'll start with Paulie. She is, like I said, she graduated from the Business Administration program. She's a prosecuting attorney, class of 02. I'll have her share about how she was able to engage at UW Tacoma and after she left.
Thank you, and it's a pleasure to be here today. So my name is Paulie Pushtas. I graduated from UW Tacoma in 2002. And I transferred, let me back up. I had gone to Pierce College, Community College, and then from there I transferred to UW Tacoma. During my 2 years at UW Tacoma, I participated as much as activities as I could. They had the Business Student Ambassador program because that was what I was going to get my degree in, is business administration. So I was able to participate in that program. Participated in student government, specifically ran for student body president my senior year, which was a great experience. Worked with a team and we provided a lot of activities to the students while I was there. Additionally, when I graduated, and we've discussed this amongst ourselves, but we were able to launch and open the Student Center, which I understand is called something different today. So that was kind of my involvement at UW-Tacoma. After I graduated from UW-Tacoma, I went to Seattle University School of Law, and I graduated there in 2005. For about 2 years after I graduated from UW-Tacoma, I was asked to serve as an alum on the Student Advisory Board. So I did that for about 2 years, and I served on that board with different leaders from the Tacoma area on how to do programming for alumni, and also just to kind of see what the future forecast was going to be for UW-Tacoma. Graduated from law school in 2005, and then from there I did an internship at a family law firm, decided that was not what I wanted to do, then decided that I do actually enjoy being in the courtroom. So then I started with the city of Tacoma in the prosecutor's office in 2006. I recently transferred over to the city of Redmond right before the pandemic hit in January of 2020. And I'm serving there as a deputy prosecutor since.
All right, thank you so much. And then I guess what we will do is move on to Aiden, and then we'll have the Q&A after. So Aiden is class of 2019, just to remind you, and he has a degree in law and policy, and he is a lobbyist. Aiden, please share with us how you were able to engage at UW-Tacoma, and then also how you were able to engage after.
Yeah. Well, so thanks for the introduction. Like Shauna mentioned, I graduated not too long ago, so the campus is very kind of fresh in my mind, and seeing all the developments and work that Paulie and her classes also did. It's interesting to make that connection. It shows you that advocacy and getting involved can bear fruit, and you might just have to visit the campus to maybe 10 years later. But my engagement while I was a student was when I was in student government, ASUWT, or Associated Students of University of Washington, Tacoma, a little bit of a mouthful. I was a legislative liaison, or a fancy way to say student lobbyist. And so I was charged to advocate on students' behalf. I did that for the 2 years I was there. Did some really cool stuff. And I think I'll just save one so I don't ramble on and on, is one of the cool things I did locally on campus was partner with the Tacoma Housing Authority and a private developer to make some units available for subsidy for some of the low-income students on our campus. UW-Tacoma surprisingly has a very high housing insecure student population rate. When I was at the school, it was 14%, with 8 to 9% of students on campus identifying as either transitorily homeless or homeless outright. So that was a huge problem. And we're able to set up that program with the Tacoma Housing Authority and so it was really cool to work together. And it's still standing, and the units are still there, and the program's still there. And as far as I'm aware, it's expanded, but I haven't really talked to too many people about that. And then a second thing when I was on campus too, a very small thing was, I worked with the student government to kind of increase safety visibility for I'm forgetting the street that is, but it's over by the street right behind the West mattress factory. That has that big crosswalk signal. Now you go up the hill, it's right off the freeway. That when I was there in the 2 years, 20 students got hit by cars, and that was ridiculous. So I worked with the city. I didn't see it through because I had to graduate, but coming by, because I work in Tacoma still, I saw the increased safety improvement. So like I was mentioning with like Paulie's advocacy, some of these things sort of take time. After that, I was invited to join the Alumni Council and I serve in the very executive legislative chair position. It was just elected to that, but one of the immediate things I was able to do to engage there was a really cool Husky Giving event collaboration. It's more of Shauna's brainchild. I just put myself out to do her bidding, and we raised a good amount of money remind me, Shauna, what the scholarship name was, but it's basically a relief fund for students.
It was student emergency aid. It was for student emergency aid, and it was the UW Tacoma Chancellor's Opportunity Fund.
Yes, yeah, Chancellor Opportunity Fund. And I misremembered being there when it was created, but I do remember that we got attention to that when, as I mentioned, with the partnership we're doing with the Tacoma Housing Authority to use that fund to help some of the homeless students with their moving costs. So that one was very near and dear to me. So we got, I forget how much, but any little bit counted there. So I don't know, all these little things, big things, whatever you want to call it, it was just great. I was empowered by folk at UW Tacoma to do that. People like Shauna, and then again, people before me like Paulie that made the campus the great that it did, to think up ideas in the student center. It's just such a privilege and a blessing. So I'll shut up there, and hopefully that between Paulie and I, that shows how to engage.
You guys are amazing. We still have things on campus that we can do because of you guys that are very important. So thank you very much for both of what you guys have done, and then for coming back to speak with us and share about it. So I'm gonna put the Tacoma Husky Landing link in the chat, just so you guys can access it. But we'll go ahead and turn this over into the Q&A for Aiden and for Paulie. If you have any questions for them, go ahead and drop them in the chat, or you can come off of mute. I have a couple of questions myself. So how long was it before you came back to campus? And I'm not talking about really physically, but doing something, whether it was being a speaker or just helping out in some way, form, or fashion once you graduate. How long did it take you to jump back in?
I would say for me, it was probably about a month later after I graduated. Only because, like I mentioned, I was asked to serve on that advisory board. And I know that they had also had a alumni event about a month afterwards, and I came back to speak at that. So.
What about you, Aiden? How long did it take you?
I was trying to think, definitely not a month. I think it was maybe a year or two, because I graduated 2019. Whenever I got onto the alumni council, and we had that's sort of how long it took. I think I had poked around to see kind of what was out there for alumni engagement. I know for one of the things that I do for work, I definitely reconnected with some folk I knew at the college to sort of kind of help advertise a fellowship opportunity that I was working on. So yeah, about a year or so. I mean, it's fairly quick in the grand scheme of things. I'm sure there are folk that it's probably decades.
Well, I know that you both have connections to other alumni. I wanted to hear about how you stay connected to those groups, because I believe one of you said that you had, and this was just in previous conversations, that you had a group of alumni that you guys stayed in touch. And how did you navigate that? Did you use LinkedIn? Did you, what were the platforms that you used at the time?
Well, back in 2002, there was none of the social websites like Facebook and Twitter and whatnot. So when we graduated, I had a close group of friends that were in the business administration program. And so we were trying to navigate getting jobs and you know, kind of what to do next. So we just stayed in contact, just, you know, getting together from time to time, whether it was to just grab some coffee, go out to eat. And then obviously recently, we all follow each other on social media. So it's, and LinkedIn, it's nice to see where everybody's kind of landed. And surprisingly, I would say that about more than half of the people that I interacted with during UW have actually stayed in Tacoma and have gotten jobs in Tacoma. So, which has been really nice to see. So we've lost touch with some just because they've moved around quite a bit, but others we keep in contact over the holidays and whatnot. So it's been good.
Good. What about you, Aiden?
Yeah, it kind of the same thing, but now we have social media. So, I had a pretty good connection with folk in student government. That's just kind of the part of campus that I lived in. So, just kind of, I had, some of them would reach out and say, hey, Aiden, I'm doing some cool stuff. One of them reached out to sell me insurance, but that was a cool way to just kind of chat with them again, right? And see what's going on. I mean, one of my good buddies who was a former student body president, his name's Armin Papyan. He ran for Tukwila City Council. And so I, tried to help him out there, and he's working still in higher ed in the Seattle Pacific University. I think it's like a scholarship person or something like that. So it's doing great things, but it's just kind of, just seeing people here and there and occasionally sending a message and, running into folk randomly. I'm forgetting their name right now, but I just when I was having dinner in Tacoma, I just kind of like, you look familiar. Like, you look familiar. And it's like, did you do the thing? And it's like, I did the thing, it's just, because the nice thing about UW Tacoma is that it's not a huge campus. I mean, you don't know everybody, but by that, right, and like how community oriented it is, like you stick around long enough, you will start seeing folk and meet. Like, I've been so surprised. Maybe this is how I should have started it. My answer is that I've been so surprised to meet so many people who went to UW Tacoma and who have graduated and who are from the founder years, as I like to call them, back in the 90s and early 2000s, that really set the pace for this college. And just how many people in the city of Tacoma, for example, come from UW Tacoma. It's just it's pretty neat. It's pretty neat. So,
and then talking about LinkedIn, so the Tacoma Husky Landing is linked, the platforms talk to each other. LinkedIn does, so it's compatible. So to join the Tacoma Husky Landing, if you have a LinkedIn profile, all you have to do is pre-populate all your information into the Tacoma Husky Landing. So it makes it really easy to do that and to sign up. So just wanted to put that out there. And if there's any updates that happen on LinkedIn, like changes with jobs, it actually will pre-populate into our Tacoma Husky Landing platform as well. It takes a minute, but it will do it. So just wanted to point that out.
I had a quick question.
Yes.
So I wanted to ask, like, what's the best way of like networking? For example, like, sometimes it goes either ways. Some people, like, you ask them for their number or like for their email, and some people like react differently, and it's kind of an awkward situation to be in. And I was wondering, like, what's the best way to like connect? And like, is it like a problem, like if you have like a person's phone number, to keep the connection going, and like just to say that like I can connect with this person in case this thing comes up in the future? So like if I have like for example, like with Aiden, lobbying questions, like in the future, like if I have those kind of questions, like I could have like his phone number and like think about it, or like those kind of things. Like, how do we go about those things in these kind of situations?
Paulie, do you want to crack it, or do you want me to do it?
I can start. I guess just talking from like my own personal experience, kind of what I did for networking. Um, I definitely think you should reach out if the individual's comfortable. I reached out for email addresses, not phone numbers. Um, and usually the people that I reached out to was somebody I already knew pretty well, whether they were going to be a reference or whatnot. So they kind of expected it. I didn't ask for phone numbers because I think, like you mentioned, a lot of people may not be comfortable with that. It also just kind of depends on your relationship with that person. Um, but I connected through email. And if that person did feel comfortable, for example, I got one email back saying like, hey, why don't you just give me a call and we can talk about it? Then that's fine. From my own personal experience, just as far as the best way that I networked, I went to as many events as possible. And as Aiden mentioned, Tacoma is a small community, so you get to know people very quickly. For me, getting into the practice of law, I connected with a lot of attorneys that were in the Tacoma area, just by reference through someone that had mentioned their name at UW Tacoma that I should reach out to for an internship or whatnot. And then just try to see what sort of activities are out there in the community, because I think it's important for you to get your name out there. That's something that I did, is just kind of, I went, introduced myself, whether it was at an attorney event or alumni event, kind of told them like what my career path was, and they would in turn reference me to somebody else. And that's how I actually ended up getting my first internship, was attending an event and actually communicating with somebody that referred me to the person who handled the internship. So I would say just get out there as much as you can. Comfort wise, again, I personally think it's probably better just to ask for an email contact information, or like you have this platform that we've all been discussing to reach out to. But if you are comfortable, then by all means, if you know this individual, then you can reach out for their phone number. Just my thoughts.
Thank you.
Yeah, I definitely, Paulie, hit it right on the nose. I think the only thing I'd add is, kind of distinguishing between, professional and socially networking, right? And they can both lead to the same thing, right? But not every single person is going to give you a job, right? Or not every single person is going to even give you their email, or maybe even want to talk to you, and that's okay, right? Sometimes it's okay just to make a friend. And you never know where that'll help you out, or maybe you just meet a friend that you hang out with. That's okay too. But I'd say, with that, I mentioned that because when you sort of have a kind of career trajectory you're wanting to do, Paulie's was law, mine was politics. I just started reaching out to people that were in positions that I wanted to be in. And like Paulie went to events and whatnot, and along the way, kind of like she was saying, get your name out there, because after I finally was able to do the thing, or I was given the chance to be able to show that I can be in the field, the people that I just made friends with, I saw in the industry, right? And I have no professional reason to talk to them, that they're just cool people, right? You never know, and that helps you do your job too, because of those friends, they were able to give me some advice when I was in the job, right? So yeah, I definitely want to make that a no. Informational interviews were really helpful to figure out like how you are going to do the job, how to be in the job, right? There are a lot of careers where there are kind of interesting subcultures, and that you might be even more interested in. And so kind of learning the field and making friends is always a good way to go about it. And it's just going to take some time on networking, right? Just keeping at it. I graduated, when I graduated, I should say, it was probably towards the end of the year. Did I finally kind of have my lucky break, so to speak, when my now colleague, good friend, and business partner that I work with in lobbying, kind of let me into the world with an internship like Paulie, and sort of I was able to grow and prove myself from there, but at that point I was sort of kind of fleeting hope. Nothing was really working. I didn't get accepted to the jobs I wanted to. I was running out of money in my bank account that I'd saved up, still living with my parents. I mean, I love them, but I was like, I was ready to move. I was ready to go and be an adult, or at least I thought I was. But through professional and social contacts, I was able to sort of make it work. And I think that's the last part, is just, be ready to be a little creative too on when you're networking, and maybe saying yes instead of no.
100%. Thank you very much. And a follow-up question for Paulie is, like, what are like events that, like, how do you find your events basically in order to network? Like, do you have like an app, or yeah?
No, so for me, the events that I was attending was more towards like legal functions. So there was a website, there was the Washington State Bar Association. So that website, for me personally, they list different events that happen. There's different, there was a couple events that they have annually every year, where they just invite, you have to pay obviously, or you can be sponsored to attend these dinners. And so I went to a lot of those. The other way I found out about events was through my internship that I did with the Attorney General's office in Tacoma. So in the torts division, when I interned there, the attorney there was actually great. He was a great mentor. And so he actually also encouraged me, like, well, hey, like, like Tacoma's having this thing tonight where attorneys are gathering and they're discussing, whatever. So I would go to that. But I think for me, it was more networking with that attorney, and then also just being proactive and just going on to the Washington State Bar Association and just seeing what sort of activities they had. I had a few friends that were also attorneys already, so they would also just kind of give me a heads up about stuff that was happening. A few of them had worked at firms, so they would sponsor tables. And a lot of times they asked if I wanted to join in because they had a few spots at their table. So I would go sit and listen to the presentations and, meet people and stuff. So that's kind of how I was able to do it.
Thank you.
If you can find job shadowing opportunities, that's always really great. Because fundamentally, it's just getting your face in front of people.
Yeah.
And being in those spaces.
And Aiden, I don't know if you agree with me, but the first couple jobs I have, they did not pay. I just did it for pure volunteer work and just to learn and see if it's what I wanted. I want to say at least 3 of the internships I had, I did not get paid, but it was a stepping stone for me to where I got today.
Yeah. I mean, know your worth, right? Don't, but yeah, there are stepping stones. I think I was still working minimum wage in these effectively, for probably a year and a half, and until I was able to sort of cobble something together. And I, again, was working part-time for, again, my lobbyist I'm working with now, doing a couple of things. He helped me get a contract that was, kind of low-hanging fruit in the scheme of things. And then I worked on some campaigns, which don't pay you well at all, unless you're a fancy consultant. So, but like I was just saying before, along the way, I made social networks, I made professional networks. I was in the space and I knew I wanted to keep doing it. And as long as I ate at the end of the day, I just kept going at it.
100%. Thank you, guys.
Yes.
And then what is your go-to for alumni events? I'm just curious about the communications from UW Tacoma. What is your go-to to find out what's happening at UW Tacoma?
Probably word of mouth. And then I do get emails from the Alumni Association. So I would say those, yeah. And then just word of mouth. But I think just the platforms that you mentioned, Shannon, have just been like, I wish, to be honest, I had that when I was graduating, because I think it's just a tremendous benefit to be able to connect to former alum. And just the way you laid it out, I mean, it's just, for me, it was very user-friendly the way you described it, to be able to just connect with a specific person that's in the area that you want to potentially see yourself in. So I wish we had that when I was there, but I think that's great. And then, like I said, just word of mouth, and just you guys are really good about just sending emails and making sure that we're all connected.
Yeah, for me, honestly, it's now that I'm on the council,
You did all the firsthand knowledge
it all
on the
gets sent to
council.
me anyways, right? I don't got a choice.
Yeah.
Before the council though, I'll also be honest, like Paulie said, it was word of mouth, but I wasn't super aware of stuff. I would have to go find it, so the campus is a public facility, right? I would just kind of walk around and look at posters. And I remember from when I was a student, around this time of year is when this thing happens, or maybe there's this job fair here, and you never know, maybe I'll have lunch at the subway or something. And I was always a little unconventional like that. I just like to put myself in places.
All right. Are there any other last remarks or any advice that you would want to give, Paulie and Aiden?
I would just say have patience. Like Aiden mentioned before, is like, you might not get the first job that you necessarily wanted, but definitely have patience. I think that the right job will come along. I think your experience at UW Tacoma is probably one like no other. I still talk about the fact that it was probably the best time I had. The ability to, as I mentioned, it is a smaller community, but that makes it more beneficial in a lot of ways to be able to connect with other students, with staff. I had a great experience there. I think just to stay motivated and have patience would be my 2 words of advice.
Yeah, I echo that, patience, motivation, and I will repeat, getting creative and, not being afraid to talk to some folk, because, people don't talk to people like Paulie and I as much as, folk think they do, right? So I am very willing to, especially for a UW Tacoma student, very willing to tell you what I think or connect you with someone if I can help you or something along those lines, right? I think you'd be surprised. So don't be afraid to kind of put yourself out there, just just a little bit.
All right. Well, thank you again for all of the knowledge that you shared here. We really appreciate it. Thank you, everybody, for coming. And I do have a couple of announcements. One is that our last grad experience event will be tomorrow on the 25th from 6 p.m. to 7:15 p.m. It is the virtual alumni speaker series, so it is a virtual event. You would go to the grad experience webpage and you could register for the event there. It's a big deal. It's Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month. We have an alum who is returning. Paolo Campbell is his name, from class of 2010. And he will be interviewed by Brianne Santos, who is a student. And we will be celebrating a bit for the Heritage Month, for the AAPI Heritage Month. And it'll be an exciting thing to share some new information that has come up that the Alumni Council is excited about at that event. So don't miss it. It's going to be a great event, and we look forward to seeing you. I'll go ahead and drop the grad experience link in the chat so you can go back there. All of the events have been recorded except for the in-person events, of course. But we'll be sending that out to the class of 2022, and it will be accessible on YouTube for others. All right, and with that, if there's any other questions, we will end here. Thank you for coming, but then you can linger afterwards, and I'll touch bases with you.
Right.
Thank you, Paulie. Thank you, Aiden.
Thank you, Aiden.
Thank you,
Nice
guys.
meeting you.
Likewise, don't be a stranger.